For those of you that are just coming on afterwards, as I mentioned before, and I think it's worth mentioning again, first a huge thanks to Stacy and Daniel for putting this together. It obviously has a great response, and their network and the amount of people really do it. It shows. It shows, and I love to see all these so many people here late at night, and it's a shame. I had this this joke lined up and everything, and I was going to have everybody commiserate with me about being after my bedtime and everything, and then Helen McCarthy pops up from the UK, and I'm sorry, I've got nothing. So Helen, thank you very much. I appreciate you killing the presentation, the comedic side of the presentation right off the bat there. But definitely a round of applause to you for showing up at 3 a.m. That shows some serious dedication. So it was great. Stacy and I started talking a couple of months back, and it really became, I've always known this, is that the nannies of the world have this amazing ability that I've never been able to do. Child rearing, bringing these kids up that are not yours, caring and loving for them as if they were your own is impressive. The mental fortitude it takes to do so and the ability to disconnect while loving is impressive. Something I've never been able to do. But one of the things that this industry gives you, and being a nanny, it gives you, is an insight that a lot of others don't have into the family dynamic. And that is easily used and leveraged to transition further into your career. So one of the things I will say, if nannying is what you love to do, and this is what brings you joy, then continue to do so. There is absolutely zero shame or zero negativity when I see someone that is happy in their job and wants to do their job and do it well. In my early career in the hotels, I had a bellman that he was fantastic at what he did. Absolutely wonderful. But it was, that's all he wanted to do. I tried to train him. Hey, come and work the front desk. I'll give you a raise. Come and be a supervisor. You'll make more money. And it's like, no, I don't want to. I'm happy doing this. I'm happy where I am. And I think that is a very applaudable thing to do. If you find your passion and you're in your passion, growing is okay. But staying where you are and living the life that you envision for yourself is also a wonderful thing. But today we want to talk about those who want to cultivate their career, advance their career, and transition into more household management, into more of a household management realm. First, what I wanted to do is I wanted to get everybody's opinion, and I want you to drop it in the chat for me. What do you see here? What is it that you see in this little ink blot test? Come on, I know y'all seeing stuff. What? Well, hey, yeah, absolutely. Hannibal's accurate. Butterfly, bunnies dancing. Beautiful butterflies, bats, elephants. See, Ruby, I see Dumbo dancing on a mirror, turned sideways. So there's a lot of different, two penguins. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of great answers. None of these answers are wrong. They are what you see. They are what you grab from this image. And as dynamic and different as all these answers are, so are every home that you're going to go into. So what you need to do is remain flexible, remain dynamic. And we're going to talk about some of those criterias that, yeah, well, it does kind of look like the pelvic, Susie, especially if you're a doctor and you've taken a look at x-rays. We'll leave it at that because it's 9 o'clock at night and you don't want me going down that rabbit hole. So, but you know, it is, every home is dynamic, just like the kids that you wonderful people take care of, so are the homes. So every tidbit of knowledge you have to take with a grain of salt. Some may work in some homes and some may absolutely falter and fail and fall flat on their faces in other homes. So always keep that in mind, that you're going, if you think you got a firm handle on something and you move to the next home, throw it all out the window and start from zero. Use your knowledge to cultivate what that family needs. Don't try to use your knowledge to force the family in any particular direction. There are a couple of things that when I first started writing my essentials class, that I really scratched my brain. What are some of the traits that every private service professional has to embody, has to embrace, and really live as a part of their life? And I came up with these 4 consistencies, as I like to call them, because they're one of the few consistencies in our industry. So one, of course, is honesty. And by honesty, I mean back to what I was telling you before. If you're happy with what you're doing and you are fulfilled, then continue doing with what you're doing. Be honest with yourself. Is advancement, is a change of career path, is this really what I want to do? Also, you know, in honesty with your fellow professionals, honesty on your resume, honesty with your principals. If you break something, say something. Most principals I've ever run into, I've broken a lot of things in my lifetime. And I've always had the principal turn to me and say, oh, you know what, Peter, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Of course, they don't care. They can buy 20 more without the blink of an eye, whether it's a piece of Christoffel crystal or a piece of art. Thankfully, I've never damaged art. So knock on wood for me there. But I'm always honest with them. I'm always forthright, and we are the bearer of bad news. So honesty is a trait that we have to embody. Respect isn't just about respecting your principles. It's about respecting their boundaries. It's about respecting yourself, knowing when you are too tired. Be respectful of your fellow coworkers, of the vendors. And this is going to come up again when we start talking about some of the relationships that we want to cultivate in our industry to be better professionals. But respect above all. We all have a job to do. We all have our place in the home, and no one job is less valuable or less of a job than another. I may be a house manager or estate manager, but I could not do my job without the housekeepers in the home. I could not do my job if there wasn't a nanny around wrangling these kids and making sure they're not getting into the kitchen under chef's feet and making a disaster of the area. We all have a place of a profound importance in the home. So treat everybody with respect. Discretion is a big one. Some people are coming from the celebrity PA world, people that are coming off of yachts, they don't necessarily adhere to the discretion component of this. As far as I'm concerned, I do not want to know who you worked for until it is time for me to verify employment. Meaning, if you're out in public, if you're networking, if you are even searching for a job, the first resume as a recruiter, the first resume I want to see from you needs to have private name withheld on it, or private residence, or private family. I may ask you for that second resume when it comes time, and that's the one that I need the names on it, but I don't need to know that information until I need to know that information. Discretion is hugely important, hugely important. it kind of turns my stomach a little bit when people start dropping their principals' names. And as a recruiter, I talk to a lot of private service professionals, and they just feel like, oh, well, this person, that person, this person. Yes, you can talk openly with me, but also show me that you can adhere to discretion as well. All of this leads into your integrity. While there are about 4 million millionaires in our country, and each one of them has one or two private service professionals, so it's a big business, but it's also a small business. If your integrity is not intact, it gives me pause. So, and your honesty, the respect that you give your fellow professionals, whether it be in networking live or on social media networking, having the utmost respect for who you are, who you work with, what you do, and being discreet about who you work for, all feeds into your integrity. Keep your integrity intact. You're going to need it as you walk down the path of your career, because while there are a lot of placement agencies, the good ones, while we don't sit here and say, oh, wow, I saw Stacy, I put Stacy up for an interview and she tanked it. Can you believe it? Yeah, she did this and this in the interview and I can't, oh my goodness, we don't do that. So we're not violating confidentiality. But if another recruiter calls me and says, hey, have you worked with Stacy before? Oh, yes, I have. Oh, well, great. What'd you think? Oh, she was a good candidate. What does that say? That speaks volumes. I don't have to say something to say something. So just know your integrity is important. This is a small industry. And also something I want to add in here is keep it positive on social media. While I don't always post a lot, I am scrolling through my feed and I'm seeing what others post. And if I see someone that is constantly having a negative tone in their voice or in their texts or comments, it raises a red flag to me. And it makes me hesitant to work with that person, simply because if things go south and they don't get the job that I put them forward for, are they going to then turn around and badmouth me? Again, my integrity is my future. If I get somebody who is not happy with the way I worked on their behalf because they didn't get the job and they choose to damage my integrity, that's a major blow. Bad reviews, all these kinds of things are major blows to small companies. So keep it positive, keep it upbeat. We have a very difficult job. I don't need you dragging me down as well. So be encouraging to your fellow professionals. So let's talk about ego versus confidence. Two very different things. Very, very, very different things. So your ego states, okay, you walk in, you've got all this knowledge, all this skill set, you walk into the house and you say, okay, this isn't being done right. We need to change A, B, and C, and this is how we're going to do it. That's ego 100%. And that goes across the board, whether you're going in with newborn care specialist knowledge or sleep training. As soon as you bring your ego involved, people's feelings are going to get hurt. You're going to step on Mrs.'s toes. And as soon as you start with that sour nature, all of a sudden she's going to start turning her ears off. She's not going to trust you. But you do want to approach it with confidence. You're a professional. You provide a set of skills. So when you go in, you want to listen and you want to ask questions. What are your primary concerns? Okay, is there urgency involved? Does this take priority over, okay, your major concern is housekeeping, but in our interview, you also had talked about the culinary standards in your home. Which one would you like me to address first? So I'm identifying priority. I am getting them to give me the information that I need, and I'm getting them to buy in. So now they actually feel like they're involved in the decision making. Remember, it is their home. They're the ones who bought the house. They're the ones who put everything in it. They're the ones who birthed the kids that are in the homes. It is their home. It is their money. So we need to bring them into the fold in the beginning to help establish the relationship and establish trust. You can't just go in like a bull in the china shop and start giving commands. I promise you, if you do that, not only will the staff revolt against you, but the principals will sit there and say, no, they just came in and annihilated the staff I've loved for many years. And I'm sorry, but go ahead and turn in your keys and your card. We'll send you your severance package information. So, offering advice, offering multiple levels of advice. One of the things that you got to remember also is you're incredibly smart. You have a set of skills, but one of the phrases that I just dislike is common sense. Because what you know is not common sense. Now, yes, fire's hot, ice is cold. But I don't know, do you burp a baby upside down or do you hold them right side up? I don't know. Do you hold them by the leg or by the arm? Can you grab them by the head and swing them around? Probably not. That would be common sense. But there is a lot of things that that are not common sense. So when you go into these homes, don't treat it like they already know, that they should already know. I like to approach it from a standpoint of, okay, Mrs. Smith, how much do you know about landscaping? Not much. Okay. I'm going to start by, I'm going to dumb it down really well so that way you understand. But if I'm dragging it along too much, just tell me and I'll speed it up a little bit. I'm having a real conversation with them. These are human beings after all. But your knowledge is powerful, your knowledge is valuable, but don't believe that everybody knows what you know. I'm constantly surprised by every class that I teach. Somebody comes up and I'm like, oh, wow, maybe I should have known that. No, there's too much else to know. There's too many other things for us to have to decipher. We can't know everything. So, how do we cultivate that knowledge? We cultivate that knowledge by building our relationships. And what are our relationships? Of course, in our world, the principles are the center of the universe. But for this example, I want to put you at the center of the universe. You are the center of your world. You are what makes life happen around you. The relationships that you have to build, of course, are with your principal. And so far, we've already talked about a couple of methods to build that positive relationship and maintain that positive relationship. You have to have open lines of communication. You got to establish those communication methods that we're going to be talking about. You have to include them in the decision-making if they want to be included. If they don't want to be included, then don't worry about it, but there's going to be some things that they're going to want intimate knowledge of. The other one is your vendors. This is a hugely valuable resource. Hugely valuable. If say I'm executing a party and all of a sudden the party's kicking off at 6 o'clock and it's 4:30 and the music won't turn on. I can't get this audio system to turn on and play music. What do? Well, if I have a positive relationship with my smart home vendor or my AV vendor, I'm picking up the phone. It's Saturday, Sunday. It could be 9 o'clock at night. It could be any time. A positive relationship allows me to pick up the phone and that person will answer that call when they see my number. Why do they answer the call when they see my number? Because they know I'm only calling them when it's really necessary. Two, when they were last out at the residence, I gave them a bottle of water. Maybe if there was it was an early morning appointment, a cup of coffee. While I am walking around with them, I'm having a casual conversation with them. Oh, I see you have an FC Dallas shirt on. Are you a fan? Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we go up to the games all the time. It's really fantastic. Create a conversation with them. And then as they're doing their job, hey, what was that? What button did you just press? Oh, really? What does that do? Or, hey, can you teach me about some of the components of this system that you're looking at? Most vendors are just like you and I that have a passion for what we do. I love what I do so much that I could talk about it for hours. If you go into a wine store and you need a selection of wine, you ask the wine guy there, he's going to be excited about telling you all about these different wines that he's recently discovered. Well, you know what? An HVAC tech may not be as passionate about their jobs, but they're going to find it interesting to be able to communicate with you and say, oh yeah, no, this is, you see this panel, pull this panel off the air handler and you see that blinking light, however many times that light blinks, compare that to this piece of paper on the inside. That'll tell you what's wrong with it. Wow. Oh, cool. Okay. I just learned something new. So ask the questions, develop those relationships, and treat them with respect. They will answer your phone when you call them at Saturday night at 10 o'clock because something's gone haywire or something's turned to the left. I actually had this happen with a residence here in Dallas. We had a pinhole leak in our geothermal system. It was creating a water leak. We couldn't find it. I knew it was coming from the HVAC system. I called my guy, and it was about 8 o'clock on a Saturday. By 8:20, he was knocking on the door saying, hey, let's get this fixed. And we came up with an outside the box way of fixing it. And he was gone. This was the owner of the company that showed up. Why? Because I build positive relationships. You also have, of course, your fellow professional, which is another hugely valuable asset. The fellow professional is going to be able to tell you who you need to use or who you should not use. Equally as important as a company that you should avoid bringing onto your property as a vendor that is the perfect fit, somebody that has been screened and vetted already, because you know that your colleagues has very high standards. They can also be your sounding board. When you run into an issue, you can pick up the phone or send a text to your fellow professional. You can meet for coffee. There are few things more cathartic than getting together with your fellow professionals and just hanging out. You don't have to talk about the principles. Actually, I recommend you do not talk about the principles, but talk about your struggles, talk about your obstacles. And all of a sudden you get this conversation going from different avenues about how they overcame their issue. And it can provide you with a lot of mental relief. We have a lot of conversations in our head. I don't know about anybody else here, but I know my brain is the loudest place on the face of this planet. I will also admit that is in large part very negative. If I stay up in my brain, it stays negative. But if I go out and I talk to one of my friends, one of my colleagues that are here in Dallas, like David Barry or Scott Sment, and I pick up the phone and call them and talk, and just a conversation. It doesn't even need to be about what's going on in my head, just a conversation. All of a sudden, I can breathe. I know I can do this. So have these fellow professionals, only your fellow professionals. We're the only ones that are not going to ask you, oh my God, who do you work for? Oh, what kind of cars do they have? Ooh, do they have a Ferrari? Have you ever driven a Ferrari? Oh, have you ever had to work with a Picasso? soon as I tell people that are not in this industry what I do, you start getting peppered with questions that I don't want to ask or I don't want to answer. Your fellow professional is not going to ask you those questions. And then, of course, your staff. You got to cultivate positive relationships with your staff members, with your fellow staff members. They are the other ones that are going to be there for you when things go sideways. When, when Mrs. springs on you, oh, we're going to have 5 people for dinner tonight. We're going to have 6 people for dinner tonight. Oh boy, I need someone to serve and I've got to be in the kitchen. Or, the lake house. Hey, we've decided to go out to the lake house tomorrow. I can call on my housekeepers that I have had positive relationships with. And what do? Absolutely, Peter, we'll be right there. They respond immediately. And there are a few things that bring me more joy than what happened 2 weeks ago. There was a staff member leaving a position I was in 2020. They were leaving, they were getting together and having a little goodbye for this person, but they took a selfie and sent it to me and saying, Peter, we wish you were here. We miss you. I mean, that not only is that just awesome and heartwarming, but it shows you what positive relationships can do. So anytime you need anything, that's why we have to treat our staff members and treat everybody with the same respect. You hear about house managers. I've heard the horror stories about house managers whom almost embody the principal. They get this feeling like, I'm the principal, you have to treat me like the principal. No, you are not the principal. You are a staff member. You are no better than that vendor that's knocking on the door to come fix the toilet. You are no better than the person that is out back riding on the lawnmower back and forth, cutting the lawn. We all have our game to play. We're all equally important. So treat everybody with the utmost respect and develop these positive relationships. I promise you, if you develop these positive relationships, the obstacles that you're going to encounter are going to become fewer and fewer. So what are your most valuable assets? Well, there's actually just really 4 core key assets that are incredibly valuable for you and that will take you throughout your career. Your Rolodex, your network, your resources, and your creativity. We've already talked about several of these things, and it's only been about 15 minutes now, maybe a little bit longer. Sometimes I lose track about how long I talk. So if that happens, Stacy, by all means, please chime in and say, Peter, time to shut up. Trust me, I hear it from my wife all the time, so I'm used to it. So bring it. But your Rolodex, I mean, my Rolodex, I was just going through and organizing my Rolodex. My Rolodex is 2,000 strong. And that is vendors, that's private service professionals, that's principals, that is a variety of resources from the East Coast to the West Coast, people that I've met, people that I have relationships with. That is my power, my Rolodex. I can pick up one of my phones at any point in time and have any answer needed that I need. That is also your network. Rolodex, your network, almost the same thing. You know what? These 3, Rolodex, network, and resources, they're pretty much the same thing. Your resources can be the documents that you've created, these documents that you got that are Stacy dropped in the chat. These are all resources for you to use. Keep them, cultivate them, and hold on to your creativity, because I promise you, you're going to need it. You're going to need it for the outside the box thinking that we all have to do on a daily basis. When it comes to that creativity, one of the areas that we're going to use that and rely on it is when we encounter all these problems, and we're going to encounter the problems every single day. I promise you, you're going to have some form of obstacle every day. So how do we deal with these problems? First off, we get our mouths to work. Then we have the problem comes to us as the private service professional. Now, I'm just going to say private service professional or PSP because really this still applies to you in the role that you are currently in, but it's going to be even more as you transition into a more managerial and more controlling role. So the problem's going to come to you. It may come from your own discovery. It may come from a staff member. It may come from a vendor. It may come from your principal, but it's always going to come to you. The professional's job is to create multiple solutions to that issue. Why? Same thing I talked about before when we talk about ego versus confidence. I know what is going to fix this issue, but I need to make sure that I got the principal's buy-in because it is their house, it's their money, their family. I need to be on their agenda. So I need to still give them a sense of control over the environment that they're in. So multiple solutions always go to the principal. Now, the way I tend to organize these is I will give one stellar solution, one okay solution, and one throwaway solution. So now you have a 50-50 shot of them choosing which one that you want them to do. They're usually going to trust your opinion. As long as you provide them with multiple solutions and you guide them in the right direction, they're going to heed your advice. What you need to be aware of, though, is that if they don't heed your advice, don't get frustrated. Don't get flustered. Don't get annoyed. Just push them a little bit further. Absolutely, Mr. Smith. Yeah, no, that sounds like a great idea. I've had a lot of success with this and this method of controlling this expense. Well, Peter, I don't want to do that. Okay, no problem. Why? It's his money. I'm here to provide as much guidance as I can. But at the end of the day, it's their decision and it's their choice. A lot of the times I will say, or in my brain, I'm saying, all right, I'll see you next month when we're having to revisit this issue. And I'm going to keep this proposal off to the side. But what ends up happening is in a month's time, they look and they say, you know, Peter, this just really isn't working. I think I have a better idea. We should do A, B, and C instead. I've had this happen where I was with Mrs. and we were talking about an issue and we're talking about an obstacle that we were facing with the house. And I made a suggestion, a recommendation, and she says, oh, no, that would never work. That would never work. Terrible. Okay, no problem. Well, how about this or this? Well, those are better, but I want to do this over here. I'm like, are you sure? Because I've tried that before and it didn't have a whole lot of success. Oh, I think we can execute it better. Okay, no problem. The next week, we're in another meeting with other individuals discussing the same problem. And what does she do? Oh, I had a great idea. Why don't we do A, B, and C to make this happen? And of course, in my brain, I'm thinking, that is a great idea. Too bad you didn't come up with it. But we are background people. So it's like, yeah, oh my gosh. Yes, Mrs. Smith, that is a fantastic idea. That is great. I think we should really jump on this bandwagon and go with it, guys, because this is what's going to solve our headaches. After all, we have to give them the credit. It is their house. So how you address these issues are going to set you apart as a professional. And when we come to the topic of problems, there's, to put it bluntly, they're not paying you to state the obvious. Never go to your employer with just a problem or issue alone. always come prepared with a selection of solutions. My grandma said it best in saying, don't bring up a problem without a solution, because that's just complaining. And you're right. They don't pay us to complain that the west wing of the house won't turn on because there's no electric to it. They're paying you to say, uh-oh, we have a problem. There's no electric. I've already called the smart home guys. It's not the smart home system. So I've got the electrician on the way. And, but if you'd like, I can also have the smart home company come out and make sure and double check their system, but it is going to cost us a service call. And, so it'll probably be about $500-600 for them to come out to test. Oh, you know what? No. I don't want to pay them. Have the electrician come out, see if we can get it fixed, and then we'll proceed to the next step. That's a great idea, Mrs. Smith. So never go with just a problem alone. And one thing that you have to remember is when they give you an obstacle and they have a need that looks impossible to fulfill, remember that no is not an option. There's always a solution. It is your job to find it. And I'm talking about something as crazy as if you're out in, you're, I don't know, 100 miles off the coast in your yacht, and all of a sudden Mister says, you know what, I want filet for dinner tonight. And there is no filet on board. Well, you pick up the phone, you call the helicopter, and you get a filet flown out to the yacht, because that's what Mister wants. Granted, that's a little bit of an outlandish sample, but it's happened. No is not an option. Do your research, find other solutions. There are also some wonderful ways of saying no without saying no. How about, well, I really want filet tonight. Oh, absolutely, Mr. Smith. But the one of the, Susie, the deckhand, was fishing today while you guys were on land, and she pulled out a couple of absolutely beautiful salmon, or beautiful mahi. The chef has already set them up, prepared them, and is ready to have them tonight. Oh God, oh, that sounds really good. Freshly caught seafood out of the ocean. Beautiful. I just told him no without telling him no. So remember, no's not an option. One of the things that you're going to experience when you get into household management is something that I like to call the creep factor. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about your work. I'm talking about all the little details that add up to major jobs. The most dangerous time of this is probably when the first 2 to 8 or 12 months. Those first couple of months, you're just trying to gather information. You're just trying to get accustomed to the home, assess what's going on, and then you can start instituting actionable protocols or procedures. Then you're still new to the job. The honeymoon period is still there. Now you want to really impress them. You want to start adding luxury in any way that you can. What does that do? That adds time. So be careful and be mindful, because really the smallest task adds up very, very quickly. From picking up the paper on your way in, do it once, you're doing it every day. And that means you may have to stop what you're doing, go out and grab the paper and bring it in. That may not seem like a whole lot, but that's 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes of your day. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 5 minutes here, another 10 minutes. That's 30 minutes already. And compound that by 20, 30,000 square feet. It gets big, it gets quick. It's not necessarily a bad thing. The gradual growth of your job can lead to bonuses. It can lead to raises. It's job security. They see, oh my goodness gracious, Peter's brought, he is, he's done all these little touches about flowers here, and all the sheets are being ironed now, so everything's silky soft. They know these things, and they can experience these things in luxury. So it can be very beneficial, but you have to document and you have to communicate to mitigate the creep factor. And what do I mean by communicate? I'm talking about my job is to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are my tasks. And here is how long it takes me to do each task. So if I have a list of tasks that adds up to an 8-hour day, well, I just kind of shot myself in the foot, didn't I? Because I didn't leave any time for the OSHIT factor, the chaos that ensues when you walk through the door. I didn't leave myself time for any breaks. I didn't leave myself time for any administrative work. So now I'm working a 10-hour day. So document and communicate. Document what you're doing. And when it comes time for them to say, well, Peter, why isn't this getting done? Oh, well, I've got this list here of things that I'm doing. It's taking up all my time. If you approach them with that level of facts and that level of confidence and knowledge, then you can say, what would you like removed from here to free up time to go and do something else, what you're asking me to do, or what you would prefer me to be focusing on. Or maybe we can take lines number 3, 5, 8, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 9, and give those to another staff member. Oh, okay, there you go. So you have to document, because you're not going to remember everything. So document and communicate. And who's responsible for mitigating the creep factor or managing the creep factor? That rests solely on your shoulders, no one else's. So just know everything that you do is a wonderful thing, but everything that you do also adds up to time on your day. So as you're just be cognizant of this, when you get, and I've done this because I have same thing that you all have. I have that service heart, that desire to please, and that desire to make them, our principals, happy. That ends up digging your own grave, because you do this, you do that, you do a little bit of this, you do a little bit of that, and all of a sudden you forget about the other stuff that you should be doing because you get so caught up in creating this luxury. So document, communicate, and just be aware of what you're doing and how long it takes. I mentioned chaos before, because one thing I can promise you as well is that you're never going to feel completely in control. You're never going to feel like you have a firm handle on everything going on. It doesn't happen. I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and I still have never felt completely in control of a service environment. And as soon as I let my guard down and I'm like, boy, this is running like a Rolls Royce, boom, lightning strikes. Here in Texas, tornado rolls right through the neighborhood and you lose half the house. So just know there's always going to be major issues, and there's always going to be some chaos factor involved in your job. The more you can get on a schedule, the less surprises that you're going to have. What do I mean by that? So I try to organize my schedule to about 60 to 70% of my time and tasks. I leave the rest to the chaos factor. Chaos factor. I've had it where I'm walking into my job. And it was just my wife and I, we had a fractional client, somebody that we took care of part-time. And it was the penthouse of a Ritz-Carlton. And the family had just, Mr. and Mrs. had just left to go on a UNICEF retreat. And we're going in to remove the groceries. You know, they're going to be gone for 2 weeks. So we're getting rid of all the perishable groceries. We're getting the laundry done. We're starting the bed linens and, you know, just breaking down the house, cleaning up the house and getting it ready so we can prep it for their arrival next time. But the elevator's open, we step off into the landing, and there I am hitting the keypad to unlock the doors to go into the residence, and it's not working. I can't figure out why. The doors are locked, the keypad's not working. All of a sudden, I enter the code again and I hit pound. As soon as I hit pound, boom, I hear this loud explosion. And then all of a sudden, a split second later, water comes cascading down out of the ceiling. What had happened is they were doing water testing on the sprinkler system for the building. And when that sprinkler system, when the fire suppression system is engaged, like it was because they were testing it, it overrides the locks. So it taught me two things. One, we had a problem with our lock because it should not have been locked. But two, when they kicked that motor on, it sent a sonic wave up the riser, hit the PVC pipes, and just exploded. So it dumped thousands of gallons of nasty, dirty water into 7,000 square feet of penthouse residence. I was not ready for that. I'm thinking, hey, we got an easy day. We're going to go in. We're going to spend, you know, a couple hours breaking down the house. We'll be out of here. Let's go catch a movie afterwards, maybe a dinner date. Yet, no, that got canceled real quick. Those are the chaos that you're going to deal with. When you start talking about multiple homes and you're in charge, the number of things that go wrong are exponentially multiplied by the number of houses that they own and the size of these homes. You know, when it's my home, I've got two air conditioning units. In my principal's home, we have 24 units. That's a whole lot more things to go wrong. So more problems, more chaos. You're never going to feel like you're in control, but that's okay. You're still in the driver's seat. You're still making magic happen. Don't let it be discouraging. Just plan for it. Again, chaos will be one constant and consistent aspect of your job. You're the conductor of the residence. A good conductor, I love this phrase, a good conductor will turn chaos into a symphony. And that is exactly what we do, because the principals are walking around going, man, this place is beautiful. This is wonderful. I can't believe it. It's so clean. Everything works. And of course, we're, you know, in the back of the house running around because there's water on the floor, or there is, you know, maybe there's a small electrical fire that they haven't seen. And we're dealing with that. And by the way, one of the housekeepers just walked off because she got upset. Oh boy, but the principals, everything is calm, everything's beautiful. And when we go out in front of them and they ask us, how's everything going, Peter? Oh, it's going great. Things are beautiful right now, aren't they? Oh, they really are. We're so grateful. Well, you know, I did want to let you know, we got a little bit of a water problem downstairs, but we got it covered. So don't worry about it. Oh, great. Okay, cool. That just means I'm going to be a little bit late today. I won't be out of here at 6 o'clock. I'm probably going to be here until about 8 or 9. And we're going to have a couple of people here. Yeah, sure. No problem. Just make sure they don't bother us. Okay. We got you covered, sir. I'll text you when we're leaving. Constant. I promise you. Embrace it. Love it. It will be your future if you truly want to be in this industry. All right. The wonderful myth of a job description. The job description. you know what? These bad boys, it's only an outline of the expectations, only scratches the surface of what it is that you're going to be doing for a living. If we try to put everything I do into a job description, I might as well grab a 3-ring binder and a big one to boot, because I do everything in the home. I scrub toilets, I serve at the table, I cook a meal, I handle the HR, I do the accounting. That's what an estate manager does. That's what a house manager does. So just know you can't go into a job and say what I consider is the terminable phrase of, it's not my job. Oh boy, you ever say that to me and I'll show you the door real quick, because it is all our job. It's about having respect for your fellow coworkers. I am not above you. I am right next to you on the front lines. A warning sign can be a poorly or hastily written job description. It should be a red flag. So as you're out there and you're searching for these house manager roles, one of the things to be careful of is avoid or be careful, don't avoid, but be careful of the direct hire, the ones that aren't using an agency. It's a bit of a red flag for me. Now, there are some major family offices out there, some large ones, the single family offices. They may not use a recruiting firm because they do everything in-house. But if you see a position posted by Mrs., to me, that submits a couple of red flags, because most of the clients I talk to and guide them in their staffing, they don't have 100% of the facts to make a good decision. If they don't want to pay the placement fee, how likely is it that you're going to get a raise out of them in several years' time? There's going to be hiccups. I always proceed very, very cautiously when it comes to positions that are posted by the principals themselves. Those are the positions that you're going to find on ZipRecruiter. Does a lot, a lot of these family offices, or there might be a corporate recruiter that's searching. So if you see a position, and this isn't always a fact, I just recently put something on Indeed to recruit housekeepers in Austin and Dallas, because I've got so many positions open, housekeeping positions open right now. I put a posting on Indeed. Hey, open, please come. I want to hear from you. I want to meet you. But if you, there are a lot of principals that are recruiting on ZipRecruiter. They're recruiting on LinkedIn. They're recruiting on Craigslist, Sitter City, Care.com. Proceed carefully. And if you are going to do that, I would recommend, let me make sure I don't have this as a, okay, perfect. As I would highly recommend you reach out to a recruiter that you know and get their input. Have them help you out. I mean, I'm here for you. If you're going to up for a job that is through a principal and you're worried, give me a call. If I have time, I am happy to help you avoid the pitfalls. So just be aware, just raise the red flag. I'm not saying don't pursue it. I'm just saying proceed with caution. In reality, your job description should really only contain 2 sentences. 2 sentences alone. Whatever it takes to ensure the smooth operation of the environment for which I am responsible, and I will reach across when others need assistance. That's your job. That is what you do all the time. When you walk in, if you have to mop floors, that's what you got to do. Housekeeper calls in sick. Of course, for me, I pray to God that the nanny never calls in sick, because then I'm going to be, what do I do with this? It smells. Oh my God. Ah. here you go. I'm going to look at Daniel and go, hey, you do with this, man. Not me. But, just know that your job description is not biblical. It's not edict. You're going to have things come across your plate that are so far beyond your job description. This myth is something that always strikes a nerve with every nanny I speak to. We want you to be a part of the family. Pardon my French, for those with sensitive ears, plug them. Bullshit. No, you are not a part of the family. And you can argue with me till you're red in the face. You will never convince me otherwise. And this is why. One, will you go into work if they stop paying you? Now, you may go for a week or two because you love that child and you want the best for that child. But there comes a time where you have to pay rent, you have to pay mortgage, you have to put food on your plate, so you have to leave. Were they going to pay you if you don't show up? Once you run out of your PTO, of course. But if you stop showing up, they're not going to pay you anymore, are you? Do you get invited to intimate family events? And I'm not talking about come be invited, come to the event. Oh, no, you're here to watch the baby. I'm talking about, do you go to dinner with them on a regular basis? Can you really drop your guard 100% with them? No, you're still being judged as an employee. And finally, are you in their will? Probably not. Starkey said this, and it's one of the few things I absolutely love about Starkey. You are in the home, not of the home. In, not of. You are not a member of the family. If you buy into this, there's going to be one thing that's going to happen. You're going to cross that blurry line that is the professional line, and you're going to find yourself looking for another job. I've learned this lesson the hard way. I actually had a principal one time that I fell for this trap. They actually said this in the interview. It was early on in my career. They said, Peter, we want you to be a member of the family. Oh, this is so cool. This is such the perfect position. It's what we've been looking for. This is wonderful. Yes, we're down. So they decided they wanted to get a dog. She brings home a big barrel from Sam's Club, Costco of dog treats. And she's unpacking them, unloading them, sets it on the counter. And I see it and I say, in my sense of humor, oh, I see Mister's been a good boy lately. And she laughed. It was, we're looking forward to the dog. Yeah, no, this is going to be fun. We're looking forward to the dog as well. We're here to help. Let us know if we need to go ahead and line up the trainer, blah, blah, blah. Wait a couple hours, Mister comes home. And I'm like, hey, went over well the first time. Mister sees the bucket of treats. And I said, look, Mister, looks like you've been a good boy lately. Mrs., how dare you talk to him that way? I'm like, whoa, holy moly. Okay, I learned my lesson. A family member can make that joke. An employee cannot. You're not a member of the family. If you want to discuss this, give me a call, schedule some of my time. I'd love to have this conversation with you because I'd love to hear your viewpoints. Managing employees. Very simple. Treat them with respect and be the leader, not the boss. There is no better way to get positive development and performance out of your employee than there is to be doing it right alongside them. If I were in a home with you as a nanny, I would probably be spending time with you and saying, oh, well, that's an interesting tactic. Why did you do that? Because I want you to tell me, and then we're going to have a conversation And then it's going to lead into, oh, you know what? Mrs. was talking. She wants to kind of switch up the schedule a little bit. Do you think you could be available for this time to this time? Another example is housekeeping. No better way to train a housekeeper to make a bed than to go in while they are cleaning the master bedroom, have a conversation with them. How are their kids? What are they doing? What's happening? Are you enjoying your job? Are there any tools that you need? Oh, here, let me help. I'll grab this sink over here. Oh, hey, let's go make the bed real quick since I'm here. I've got a little bit of time. I'll help you make the bed. It's a king bed, easier to make with two people. As we're making the bed, actually, you know what? We're going to change this up a little bit. Mrs. wants to change the way she wants the bed made. So let me show you the new way. I just did corrective action without even needing to say, can you come to my office, please? Or I'm going to show you a better way to make a bed. It's organic. And then all of a sudden they start doing it. Then, of course, you have to follow up. You have to inspect. And if it happens again, oh, Susie, hey, you know what? I'm just stopping in. Oh, remember, we're making the bed the new way now. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, I forgot. Or no, I don't like I'm not a fan. It's, well, you know, Susie, all due respect, I love the way you make a bed. You make a beautiful bed, but it's not the way Mrs. wants it. There's the right way of doing things, and then there's the principal's way of doing things. The principal's way usually ends up being the right way. So be the leader, be out there on the floor. If you're a house manager, you should be spending 70% of your time on the floor and 30% of your time in the office. If you're an estate manager, switch those roles. You should be spending about 30% of your time on the floor with your employees and 70% of the time in your office. But I always spend time on the floor. I love my employees. They know me. I know what they're going through on a daily basis. They know their struggles, and we all sit around and have lunch. I have lunch with them. I hang out with them after hours if they're hanging around. I have casual conversations. I don't drop my guard. I remain professional, but I do engage with them. The other way to do that is, if we're being honest with our numbers and our percentages, depending on the region that you're in, you may, like my region, most of my housekeepers, most of my nannies, most of these people I run into are Hispanic. So I learn their language. I don't have to speak it fluently. I don't have to speak it perfectly, but I have to show them that I am wanting to be adaptable to them. I don't expect them to meet me. I'm meeting them halfway. So be a leader, not a boss. Don't command. Don't sit up there and point. There are times where it has to happen. If I'm running an event, I tell my employees, okay, you know what? You're about to see the boss. You're about to see the direct, non-fun Peter, because we'll have fun later, but right now I got to be direct. Susie, go set the table, mimic the setting that I did. I'll be in 15 minutes to inspect it. John, I need you to go blow off the patio. Boom, boom, boom. Go do this, go do that, go do this. Afterwards, when the dinner's winding down, dude, that was crazy, wasn't it? Can you believe the mess they made? Oh, let's get to work. Let's have fun. Be a leader, not a manager, or be a leader, not a boss. A lot of you are going to want to know about education. Education is very, very tough in our industry because there are very few standards as to what a house manager does or what an estate manager does. Nannying is a little bit dynamic, I would imagine, as well, you know, but you do have a stricter set of standards. You're dealing with the kids. You're dealing with the education of the kids. So you have the ability to drill into that focus. So Define what your career path is. What is it that you want to be doing? Do you want to be the estate manager? Do you want to be the household manager? Do you want to be the major domo? And then find tidbits of education that are going to get you to that goal. But set a goal for yourself. I have my current education path is I'm getting my human resources certification. I find it very applicable to what I'm doing with remote estate management these days. So human resources certification, here I come. Maybe next year I'll take an accounting course from University of Phoenix. When you are looking at educational resources, there are some educational resources out there that promise placement, but that's not a promise that anybody can make, because getting a job is so heavily dependent on your chemistry with the principal that as an educator, I couldn't guarantee you a job. I can sit here and say, I will do everything in my power to help you get a job, but that onus rests solely on your shoulders. So if you run into someone that is saying, you know what, I place 90% of my students, it's a sales line. Don't believe it. Ask them to prove it. You'll never learn everything that you need to know. But what are some of your options as far as private service goes? Oh yeah, no, that's me. So now it's time for the shameless plug. Of course, there is Estate Management Solutions and my Essentials class, the Essentials of Essentials of Household and Estate Management. It's a 2-day course that I teach that'll teach you the basics from a 30,000-foot view level. Some of this stuff is in there, as well as you get all the documents you need to write a household manual and set up policies and procedures to protect your principal. But there are others out there. Charles McPherson, I am waiting for him to come out with new classes, because if you want to go to a full course where you're there for 4 weeks or 8 weeks, as far as North America goes, there is no one that can even touch the quality of material that he teaches. Very, very, very applicable to today's private service environment. Bonnie Lowe Craman has a great program called Be the Ultimate Assistant. It can be a little bit pricey, but it's a 3-day program. And with that program, you get this amazing network that she's built of thousands of personal assistants and executive assistants that you can reach out and utilize. You get jobs through them. They're part of your resources. So she's got a great course. Kelly Dixon is one of my competitors. She's teaching housekeeping. She's teaching a household management course as well. There's Vicki Evans. She owns Red Cape Co. And she does Microsoft Office training. Really cool stuff. If you want to transition into something more administrative, you really need to drift towards some Microsoft Office training. You need to know how to use and manipulate Word, Excel, the 2 key major ones. And you've got to, you need to have at least a basic knowledge. If you don't have that now, that's the first thing that I would recommend that you go out and do, is get some Microsoft Office training. Marta Perrone also has, and I'm not intimately familiar with their class, but she does have some housekeeping and household management class as well. So, that's 3 great resources for you for education. Myself, Kelly Dixon, and Marta Perrone for household management education. Right now, other than Charles McPherson, I believe we are the only ones that are actually doing it for household management specific. Any online university, University of New Hampshire, University of Phoenix, anywhere, your local community college. And I'm not talking about going for a degree. I'm talking go take an accounting course. Go take a construction management course. Go take an architecture course. Learn what you want to know. I've never been a good educatee. I was never a good student. I never was able to focus in class. But what I have found that works really well for me is this type of compartmentalized education. What works for me, and I say this over and over and over because this works for me. This is my truth. You need to find your truth and follow your path. I prefer to just go online and take my human resources information and learn it. Maybe I'll take an accounting course, like I said. Maybe I'll take an architecture course to better understand, or a building engineering course. Maybe I'll go get some HVAC licensing so I can be more educated for my principles and diagnose and fix stuff right then and there. They're all very, very promising and valid options for you. YouTube. Oh my goodness gracious. I can't tell you how many times. Crap. I don't know how to fix this. Let me pull up YouTube. Okay. Now I'm good. Know how to fix it, or know how to cook it, or know how to repair it, know how to change it. YouTube has so many sources out there, but make sure you look at multiples so you're not having somebody say, oh no, you fixed the tire by sticking a nail in it. There are those out there that will purposefully mislead you. Udemy is a great online resource for a variety of education. There's another one called Coursera, course spelled out course, then ERA. And it is, you pay like a monthly subscription fee, and you can get university level education. Yale, Harvard, all these major universities, they put like a semester or they put a class on there that you can take. Again, I'm not going for a degree. I'm going for knowledge. LinkedIn has some great free courses. And I need to follow up with this because Latricia Friends in New York has a great hack to get some more free LinkedIn education. So if you're curious, bombard Latricia Friends in New York. You'll find her on my LinkedIn profile. That's another thing for the nannies of those of you who are actively nannies. Get on LinkedIn. Set up your profile, especially if you're going to transition to household management. Set up your LinkedIn profile. That is where we have a lot of the private service community are connecting, sharing resources, and posting jobs. Estate Jobs posts a lot. All their positions go directly onto the LinkedIn immediately. So if I post a position on Estate Jobs, it goes directly to LinkedIn, first and foremost, LinkedIn and Facebook, and then it goes out onto the email. Your certifications are the ones that I was mentioning, like my HR certification. It could be an accounting certification. It could be, what you're doing now, nanny certifications. Chase them, find them. They can have a benefit. What I'm trying to get at is know what it is that you want to do and create an avenue to reach that goal. But you're going to pave it one brick at a time. One piece of education here, one piece of education there. Unless you are really that studious person and you love going to college, go get a college degree. By all means, absolutely. But I can tell you, most of the recruiters that I talk to these days that deal with not only the high net worth homes, but also the businesses, is that even hiring managers, they're not looking at MBAs anymore. They mean nothing. That just means that you can absorb and regurgitate information. Bravo for you. I want to learn what I want. I want to absorb it, and I want to enact it with a plan in reality, not just absorb and spit it back out. So another question I get all the time are computer softwares. What do we use? What databases we use? There have been a lot of people that have tried to create databases for our industry. A majority of them have failed. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is just like titles are tough to define and education is tough to define, and the homes are so different, one application or one database won't work in every single home you go into. Every home works differently. Every house manager works differently. So find something, one, understand the basics of them all and find something that you're comfortable with. Because if a lot of these homes, they don't have anything in place, especially the smaller homes, you can take something, oh, Asana, I'm really good with Asana. I'm really good with Trello. Here you go. This is how we're going to run your home. Oh my God, this is so cool. I never knew you could do this. So what are some of those things? Well, first off, let's define SaaS, SaaS. That means software as a service. What does that mean? That means that your information resides somewhere else. It's not on your computer. It's not on your telephone. Your phone is only the access to that information. It is only a doorway to get to that information. Why do we care about that? Because of data security. Any program that is a SaaS program, you have to be very cognizant about what you're putting on that program because it could be susceptible to hackers. All these programs, all these things that are going to talk to you right now, most of them, I'm looking at them, most of them are software as a service. You have Asana. Asana, Trello, Basecamp, and Slack are all very, very similar. They're task management programs. They're great programs. Find one that works for you. I personally love Asana, but I've heard from other people that Asana is overkill, overcreated, too much. We mentioned Kelly Dixon before. Kelly Dixon in her estate management systems, which will come up when I go to the other on the right side. Her program is based off of Trello. You've got Happy Co, which is a great project property management software. Centric is one that I've recently discovered. I haven't had a chance to look into it, but I've heard some really amazing things about how you can snap a picture of a barcode on a piece of machinery like a fridge or ice maker or something mechanical, and it loads all that information. It loads the user manual, it loads the installation guide, the maintenance. You can put in the date of purchase and it'll populate the warranty expiration. So it's a really cool system for you to take a look at. There is iCollect, and as you can see by the title, it is a inventory database, great for art, great for cars, anything where there's a collection involved. iCollect is great. Estate Management Systems is the one I was telling you about by Kelly Dixon. Upkeep.com is another one that I actively use, and it's a maintenance request database. What I like about it is I have a paid license and I can give a free requester access to a principal. So all they have to do is open up the app, press the plus button, take a picture, add a title and a description, and click send. And I know what I need to do. It sends me a notification that they've submitted something. I turn it into a work order, and then they get notified, hey, Peter's turned this into a work order. Hey, Peter's assigned this to the housekeeper, to the maintenance guy. Peter closed this ticket, and here's how much here's the notes that he put in and how much it cost. So it's a great way to manage maintenance items. You can also put in like repetitive tasks, inspect HVAC, inspect plumbing, so on and so forth. HomeZada is another great maintenance app. So far, they do have a inventory component that they've installed in the last year. but they haven't gotten the work order ticket down quite right where I want to see it yet for me to be able to use it full time. But it's a great small house management app for regular tasks, whether it be maintenance, housekeeping, exterior, interior, anything. And by the way, why I like these apps, and I don't know about estate management systems because I haven't spoken with Kelly about it, but all these apps are economical. Why they work is because my upkeep program for me to have access and my wife have access, it's just over $1,000 a year. Yes, that's a lot of money, but comparative to programs like Estate Space or Starkey's database, these two can run upwards of $10, $15 to $20,000 a year. And I have yet to meet a principal that is willing to pay that amount of money for a database. There are those, but they are few, very, very few. So let's talk this is actually the last slide. So for those of you that are starting to drift off, congratulations, you've made it through. I just saw, let's see, ClickUp. I'm going to make a note of that because I want to find out more about that. So thank you very much for sharing. ClickUp. Okay, so now that you've kind of got all your stuff in a row, all your ducks, you understand what it is. Now you want to go out and find the job. Few things. Your resume is your key. Get your resume on point. And honestly, this is where I strongly urge you to make a financial investment in your job hunt. And I say this out of personal experience. When I wrote my resume, I thought my resume was the bomb. I thought it was badass. I'm like, look at this Mac Daddy, it is sweet. But then I had Donna Shannon write my resume. And then my resume, the one I wrote, looked like crap. It was terrible. The reason of that is something that Charles McPherson says speaks very closely to this. A butler is to be interesting, not interested. A butler is to be interesting, but not interested. That means that we're in the background. We are never play the forefront. We are never on display. We are always hidden. We're in the corner, around the corner. We never the less our presence can be known, the better, which means that we suck at tooting our own horn. We're terrible at it. So have someone like LaDonna Shannon of Personal Touch Career Services or Latricia Friends in New York. She's also a resume writer. So contact one of them. Have them write your resume for you. I promise you, it will put you out in the forefront in the job search. Have a resume with names and have one without, because as I said, discretion, I always want to see one without names first. Then I'll ask you for the ones with the names when it becomes necessary. On your resume, tell me about your hard skills. Stay away from the fluff. What do I mean by fluff? Excellent communicator. Excellent time management skills. Impeccable attention to detail. What? Means nothing to me, because I'm going to be able to see if you have attention to detail by seeing if you've have all your spelling and grammar done correctly on your resume or on the emails that we communicate. Are you answering all the questions? So I'm going to find out about all this stuff. Tell me what your hard skills are. You know contract negotiation. You understand HR laws, accounting skills, mechanically inclined, tech savvy. These are hard, tangible skills that I can look at and say, yes, you would be a perfect fit for this particular house. By telling me you're an excellent communicator and have a great attention to detail does not tell me if you are great for this job. It just tells me that you can put these words on your resume. Now, Where this is inaccurate, where I am wrong, is for those positions that are using corporate recruiters. So when they're using corporate recruiters, they're using artificial intelligence to read your resume and scan it into a computer system. Private service agencies like myself, David Gonzalez of Domestic Placement Network, Chris Baker, Robert Hanselman, we are not using a software. I'm looking at your resume. So I don't need those fluff words. Corporate resumes, resumes that are being scanned in by a corporate recruiter, those do need those fluff words. Tell me about your home and your accomplishments. What do I mean by that? I see it all the time. Smith family or family name withheld, this date to this date, in charge of child care, taking kids to school, cooking dinners. Those are all hard skill sets. I want you to tell me how many square feet it was, how many people are in their home. Are there multiple homes? Also, what were your accomplishments? One of my lines reads, communicated directly with insurance company after a water damage, able to execute and negotiate a $1.5 million insurance claim. That's an accomplishment, and it also speaks to my skill sets. Tailor it to the job you're applying for. What do I mean by that? I'm saying your skill sets are here. If you're going for a job that requires heavy Google Docs and Google Drive knowledge, but that stuff is down here, you need to move that up to the top. Move those bullet points around to cater to the job description that you're reading. Don't make me read through all your skill sets to find out you're good with Google if I've listed it as one of the requirements for the job. That tells me you probably don't have that great of attention to detail, or that you're not that great of a communicator because you're not communicating well. Again, know what you want to be doing and where you want to be doing it. As a recruiter, I'm going to ask you, where do you want to be? Oh, I don't know, anywhere. I don't care. Okay, well, so it doesn't have direction. Well, what is it that you want to be doing? Well, I'm interested in either a nanny job or a house manager, maybe nanny manager. Okay, now, I want a house manager job. Have your resume speak to what you want to be doing. You don't want it to cause more questions than not. Also, register with several agencies. And remember that reputable agencies will never charge you money or insist on your previous employer's addresses. Why did I have to do this? I actually heard a horror story of somebody who has actually asked for their addresses of their previous employers. There's no reason I need to give you that information. I will give you the email or phone number to the HR person or to the estate manager, but you don't need to know where they live. The only reason I could think of behind somebody asking that is that they wanted to recruit that principal as a potential client. And if they got the address, I can send them a mailer saying, hey, I hear you're looking for staff. So might put you in a disadvantage as well if you haven't left that position yet. But we've also had agencies. We have one here in Texas, down in Houston. They charge an application fee and a registration fee, and they make you pay to get your background checks. I am sorry, I get paid way too much by these principals to charge you, a candidate, for anything. Any rate agency that wants to charge you for something, turn around, walk away. Because they are not going to represent you well in that job. Maybe they do represent you well, but also if they don't, if they're treating employees like that, they won't have a whole lot of professionals to choose from. So that principal is just going to go on to the next agency to fill the job. All right. So congratulations. You've made it to the end. I want to give everybody a round of applause for sticking in. This is all my contact information. This is every way to get a hold of me. First and foremost, all of you who don't have LinkedIn profiles, get your patooties on LinkedIn, create your profile, and connect with me. I do have my Facebook page, just so everybody knows. I don't befriend anybody that on my personal page. I reserve that for friends and family only, but I would love to see you on my company Facebook page. I also hope to see everybody on Clubhouse. Thursdays at 7:30 Central, we're having some great conversations. This is networking. This is what's going to get you the job. This is what's going to get you plugged into the greater industry. And for the next 3 months, all we're talking about is resumes, interviews, sourcing the jobs, working with vendors. I mean, we got some really great topics to help you advance your careers. So thank you all very much for your time. I've got time. So if anybody has any questions, I don't want to, Stacy, I don't want to keep you up too late.
It's okay. My time actually just went down. So if you are open for questions, we're good.
Absolutely. I'm happy to answer any questions.
If any of you have a question, feel free to just unmute yourself. No one?
Wow, man, I was so good that I answered everybody's question that before they could even fathom of asking it. But the good thing is you have my contact information. So those questions that do come up as you're laying in bed tonight or waking up tomorrow morning with a fresh mind and you're like, oh, I want to ask about, you have my email. Shoot me an email. That's my work line. So that phone number that rolls in. If you don't get a hold of me there, send me an email. My email goes straight to my personal cell phone. So if I don't have my work phone with me, I do have this one. And if it's urgent, reach out. I'm here for you.